hello, and welcome to the second recording or second pod of Closers Club. We have a special guest, Adam Saad from TechStack Advising. Thank you so much for being here, and you know the regulars, Daniel and Michael. Before we jump in, Adam, I would love to hear a little introduction of TechStack Advising. But before I do that, I want to read off some numbers from a LinkedIn post that you put up the other day. Tell us a little about this and provide some details. So 321% year-over-year revenue growth, 487% year-over-year EBITDA growth, and 138% year-over-year bookings growth. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Good to be here. Very excited about the growth that we've had. For those who don't know me, my name's Adam Saad. I'm founder and CTO of a company called TechStack Advising. We are a systems integrator supporting customers using enterprise-grade CCaaS contact center technology, as well as obviously diving into the world of AI as we do it. Paul, thanks for sharing the numbers, and we like to be transparent in the way that we operate and kind of put news out into the LinkedIn world about everything we're doing as well as our success. So, 321% year-over-year growth. Really what that has been a hyper focus on building a strong foundation of the business and really focusing on what we are absolutely great at, which is professional services and optimizing outcomes of contact center technology for our customers. That's with a select few CCaaS vendors, and as I mentioned earlier, there's some AI stuff that we're doing. We don't want to go the way of Kodak and Blockbuster. We don't like innovation risk. So again, not just staying in the CCaaS realm, but really tapping into AI and agentic and all that fun stuff. So it's been a really great ride so far, and we're almost 4 years into it, and we can't wait to see what the next 4 years.
That's awesome, man. Great intro, and thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your day to talk with us. So this episode is specifically around scaling, right? And I thought that was like a great intro to talk about scaling. Mike, I want to ask you the similar question around scaling for this year, what you're seeing. But before you answer that, one-to-one consent didn't happen. How are you feeling, man?
And by the way, Mike, you look a bit tired. Are you okay?
A little tired. We're in the Philippines, so if there's mistakes, it's 4 a.m. I can justify the losing trains of thoughts and stuff like that. But doing good. So the last quarter of last year was completely dedicated to one-to-one preparation, and we took the stance as a company of act as if, and we knew there was a chance that it was going to be thrown out, but to not prepare under that assumption would not make sense. So, we developed tons of different technology and automations around it. And in Friday at, I think it's 4:45 Eastern, before 5 o'clock, before the FCC closed, we got notification that one-to-one is just not only stayed initially and potentially pushed back a year, but then the circuit court came back and said it is thrown out and done. So for about 2 weeks, it took me I'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, one-to-one is gone, dead. And it was just such a strange thing to wrap my mind around, because we've had that constant blanket of stress for the last year, knowing it's coming, and then it's gone. So, I think the market is still kind of adapting. A lot of people did adapt in preparation of one-to-one and changing their marketing style, type of leads they're buying, things like that, and saw some of the value that would have came with one-to-one, which is efficiency, higher quality leads, things like that. So I think right now there's still kind of a period of not uncertainty, but the industry hasn't gone completely back to what it was, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Efficiency is great. Yeah. So still a strange thing. I'm thankful overall it's gone.
That's good.
I keep on reflecting on this, the reality that in the lead gen space, the call center is the business, which makes it so different than when you go to, for example, probably the folks that you work with, Adam. If you're a large enterprise, you have a goods that you sell to consumer. That is your main business, and your call center may be a small part of that. If your call center is calling and qualifying and selling and transferring leads, then that's the thing that Mike talked about. Like, I have to kind of change the model that I operate in, going from cheap, large quantity leads to less leads and higher quality, is such a profound change of business models. It's like Apple going from selling computers to going to iPhones. You don't do it overnight, right? It's a hugely complex undertaking. And when I hear people saying, "Oh, one is not needed anymore, we can go back to what it was," no, that's not going to happen. So all this, especially the more serious business, have been spending now a year and a half on going to that very profound change in business model. It really is. It's not trivial to say, "Oh, I'm going to go from calling cheap leads to more expensive leads." It's a complete change in business model. So I think it's not gone at all. I don't think that very much with Mike. When I talk to industry analysts, when I talk with customers, they all are kind of saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to go back to where it was before." It does give me some more breathing room. It does give me some more space. I have a bit more time here, but I'm fully with Mike. This change will still come through. We're still it's not something that we can stop or assume that it's going to be gone here.
And Mike, are you seeing that? Like, since the 1-to-1 consent rule was thrown out, are you seeing an uptick in your business? And then, Adam, very similar question to that. Like, what are you seeing on the ground with some of the within the larger kind of CCaaS space? Like, are you seeing significant more scale over the last month, or let's dial this in over what we're seeing now and what's transactional from a business perspective?
So I get an interesting perspective always. The model I built my companies around is initially with the Philippines BPO, the primary pain point is lead volume. So that's where the media company comes in, and that's where the partnership with Convoso comes in, providing all of the solutions which are the pain points of our client base, and solving those problems to then ultimately help them scale. From a media side, we see a lot of volatility just because we changed our marketing strategies to target the really high converting leads that we then want to sell in 1-to-1. So now recalibrating to cast a wider net and generate more volume. From the Philippine side, we see a massive uptick. I mean, we were at max capacity, 2,200 seats. And with preparation of 1-to-1, we just started seeing, especially our really large enterprise level clients, start dropping off. So now they're starting to shift back as that the rules are no longer here. So a lot of just instability on both sides, but the Philippines is absolutely scaling back up.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. What we're seeing from a higher level strategy perspective is, one, like anytime there's new compliance stuff that comes up, we have all of our customers reaching out to us to, one, validate that, hey, does the technology we have today, does it meet the actual compliance requirements? And we are not compliance experts, but we are technology experts. So we partner with our customers' legal and compliance team to understand how they perceive the law and the world. So the immediate thing is, oh crap, is our technology in the right spot? I think what Mike said about marketing in the media company, kind of feeding lead generation. What we're seeing also, I have 3 large consumer brands that we work with that come top to mind, where I'm seeing a much heavier role from the marketing, the CMO, and how they're playing in the contact center to improve the quality and quantity of leads that come through. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about scaling, it's really a leverage and math equation. If we input $1, then what do we get out of that $1? And then the game of business is to really just maximize what that output of the $1 is.
Like, Mike, you were talking about that last time, right? Where you're really talking about from a lead generation perspective, in order to really push scale, it was really like creating like a more legitimate business and like pushing the brand element of the company or the business service you're providing to really stand out. And from reaching out to consumers' perspective, like making sure you have a Facebook page, LinkedIn page, like making sure it's all legit, a real website. That way people aren't thinking, oh, this is just a scam call or a spam call or something like that that's just going to try to sell me something and I'm never going to hear from them again. So interesting. Cool. So what are you guys looking at this year? Like when you look at scaling your individual businesses or scaling businesses on behalf of your customers, what is the single most important thing that you see this year that we need to think about as leaders?
Yeah, I think for us, there's maybe three things that are top of mind. I mean, here at TechStack, we're a systems integrator. We have consultants, we have engineers. So I'm not in the call center business. I'm not really even in the technology business. My business is the talent business. So for us, I spend an inordinate amount of time figuring out how we can get A players here at TechStack to deliver to our customers. Because again, the humans are the actual product or service that we have. And if we have better humans, then we can deliver better results for our customers. And if we can deliver better results for our customers, then we all make more money, including us and the customer. So that's number one. Number two is just quadrupling down on whatever is working today. So over the last 4 years, we've tried a lot of things. And when you as a scientist, you have a hypothesis, if this, then that. And we've had a lot of if this, then that. And we finally found the if that, this, then that works. That's helped us grow 321%. So we're just doubling, quadrupling down on what's working today. Probably 80% of my thought process and the product that we deliver is on that. And then the 20% is all around AI. And again, making sure that we're not susceptible to innovation risk. Again, we don't want to go the way of Kodak. I'm going to always bully Kodak for not innovating. So we have to innovate with AI. And again, that goes back to the leverage equation. Leveraging AI should yield us a better output for both us internally and externally with our clients.
Yeah, we pick on the cell phone carrier, the big blocky phones.
BlackBerry.
CEO,
Or Nokia.
Nokia, that's who we pick on internally. And Nokia's CEO did something 10 years ago or something saying we didn't do anything wrong. We just did not adapt to industry change. And now it's more crucial than ever. I think we're in a period of time where in 5 years, our industry could look very, very different. And if you're just stuck in your own ways, which a lot of call center owners are going to be, they are absolutely going to fall behind. But back to your question, Paul, I mean, we could do a whole thing on scale, but things always break at scale. When we try to push, especially with aggressive growth, we always start having issues. Things start to break, things like that. So the strategy we're taking as naturally the Philippines kind of pulled back a little bit in preparation for one-to-one. This gives us now time to really solidify our foundation and build a stronger core as we ramp back up. If we just try to, it's kind of a natural opportunity because there should always be some sort of cycle where we push growth, and if we push too hard, again, things will break. So we're taking it as an opportunity, build the core team. A lot of what Adam said as well is finding the right people and adapting with good technology, finding AI tools that can allow us to leverage our people and our people provide more value is really the goal.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what type of AI tools are you looking at?
So we're using a couple. I mean, right now we're testing a few tools for like call audits. Every call at the BPO that actually gets transfers goes through a validation and scoring process, and we use that not only to just verify that everything we're sending is legitimate and maintain good conversion rates, but also opportunity to train the agents and things like that. So now instead of following a manual process of a whole QA team doing these call audits, which is an incredibly manual process when you have a couple thousand people doing 4 transfers per day that last an average duration of 3 minutes. I mean, you need a army doing that. So leveraging and modeling the AI tools to get the data out of it that we need to then help us fine tune where to target the focus, which again just allows our QAs, doesn't remove jobs. It allows the QAs and the jobs that we have to provide more value to the company overall by leveraging the tool opposed to removing the people.
I mean, the way that we kind of like to look at it, we like to group AI from internal use cases to externally, like customer facing use cases, right? So like Mike just talked about, like the call audits, like we call that auto QA. I think the industry's deciding what they want to call the whole thing. But yeah, like our customers should not have FTE dedicated to listening to calls, scoring calls. AI can do that today. And then on the external side, I do not want to use the word chatbots, but like the agentic kind of Gen AI chatbot that can dip into a knowledge base, get trained in a knowledge base, and then deliver containment results, whether it's voice, email, chat, whatever it is. And the way that we think about this for our clients is we actually stole a framework from product. So if you're a product manager listening, or you know about product and how it's released, you might know the framework around RICE. So RICE is an acronym for the reach, which is how many users is this AI or feature going to reach? What is the monetary impact? How confident are we that we can actually deliver it? And then what is the level of effort? How hard is it to actually release? So what we do is we say, okay, we know that there's 5 or 6 different AI things we can do. Let's score them based on RICE. And then now we have our AI roadmap. And oftentimes auto QA is like the first thing we do because it's internally facing, it's easy, it's confident, it's cheap. Many of the vendors have it. So that's usually the first place we look to.
So so products Convoso here. When it comes to AI, I'm actually having a bit of a different focus for us this year here, which is really around how can we scale campaign management that just leads to results. This is Close Club. We're in the business of closing, making money here, right? So I came to that very important realization that in the call center world, whenever you deal with leads, you buy lists. The ROI that you need to get on those lists is not measured in months. It's not measured in quarters, right? It's measured in hours. What does it mean? Really good admins, dialer or campaign admins, they're constantly looking at which of my lists are performing, where should I direct my agents to talk more to. So I got to constantly look at which of my sources. I get 30 different sources, right? List sources, all the providers here. I pay more money for some of them, pay less money for other ones. If I see a high conversion rate, a high transfer rate on my cheaper sources, great. That allows me to actually put more of my focus, more of my agents to really focus on the ones that actually turn more profit, right? So that idea of, hey, what can I do? What can we do as Convoso to help our customers, administrators, the folks that are day in, day out, checking out which lists are actually performing, what's the contact rate in that, after which call counts, what's the transfer rate, what's the conversion rate? Day in, day out, that instead of a quarterly review on ROI, an hourly view of ROI, that's where I'm focusing this year when it comes to the finding skill and help our customers get skill. I think it's a super intriguing area here because a lot of the call centers in this space, even the large one, I know Michael, you get 2,500 agents, you said? I know how many campaign administrators you have, but the ratio is just ridiculously low compared to probably what Adam sees in the contact center service world. It's a very different ratio. You need much more administrators doing day-to-day management here. But I found it intriguing to see like one dialing admin working part-time for 500 agents. For 1,000 agents running 50 different campaigns, that is scale that I think is really powerful here, because if you can actually get not only the efficiencies in there, because you only use one person for that, but also really focus on that profitability today, the ROI today, that could be a very intriguing formula that I'm really doubling down on for this year.
That's great. And Daniel, since you were talking about where Convoso, I want to do a short plug. This year, since we are talking about scaling and performance with Convoso, get your Convoso team. This is call center multi-mode dialing. This is the stuff that will essentially put your call center on steroids. right? So as a campaign that we're running right now, it's essentially a rebranded bottle of creatine. And in order to help really, pump that revenue up, it's all about Convoso team. That said, though,
Paul's like the most creative marketer I've ever worked with. Like, I don't know how he comes up with that.
but from a campaign perspective, if you're looking to take a demo, learn more about Convoso, schedule a demo, and we'll hook you up with an Apple Watch. When completing the demo, seeing there's different requirements that are needed for that campaign, but I want to do a short plug given the relevancy of today's call. So let's like, what are you guys doing? In terms of a scaling for this year, like what are your business plans in terms of like headcount, going into new categories? What are you guys thinking in that regard?
I mean, for us, as I kind of touched on, from Philippine standpoint, we kind of took a step back a little bit just because of the natural loss in clients for preparation of one-to-one. So this gives us an opportunity to build that stronger foundation, implement some of these tools within the organization to make us stronger so we can build back up. I mean, for me, I started the Philippines company 7 years ago, and I remember when we started, we kept hitting these milestones where we'd fall back. So we would... I was really ambitious at 24 years old, and I moved to the Philippines and started a call center, and we grew up to 60 and kept falling back. We had some core issues we needed to fix, and then 200 was our next barrier. Kept falling back, and then around 800, and then we flew past up to 2,000. 2,000's that cap that we've been at for a while. So for us, being that we had that natural scale back, we're building that core to reach what capacity is of 2,200, which 2,200 now and 2,200 prior to the initiation of one-to-one is a different thing, with people focusing on the much higher quality leads. It's not a brute force dialing effort anymore. There's we need to be very quality focused, just because that is where I see the industry going. So different world of trying to hit that 2,000 mark once again, with different strategies and stronger core.
Does that mean training or retraining? So if they're going from like a 3-question qualification to actually 5-minute long sales conversations, that is that what you're talking about?
Some of this, but less reliant on admin type staff. I want to, building a lot more automations for that is probably Adam's core things that he's looking at with these big organizations. Is the larger these departments grow, the more people in a department, the more crucial flow of information is proper, and the right processes are built to make sure things are efficient. So, the agent side and operation side, we're actually quite strong, but making a lot of our other departments more efficient, identifying where we can place people where they're most likely to succeed, building some more automations is really the goal, because the agents can handle complex tasks already. So that's kind of our thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think for us, like, again, we look at scaling through the lens of both here at TechStack and how we scale, but then we also look at the lens for how our customers are kind of managing their scale. And again, we deal with larger organizations, 5,000 employees plus or minus 1,000 there. For us, like the way that we scale, I'll talk about this till I'm blue in the face. It's just continue to do what works and just keep doing more of it. And the more we do, the better we do at it. Like what we're trying to do from a headcount perspective is that we're like, I was the sole salesperson, right? We're hiring a salesperson. Shameless plug. If you know anyone that's in B2B tech services sales that is an A player, that has undeniable evidence that they are an A player, I'm interested in talking to them. When we hire more salespeople, we will get more customers. And when we get more customers, we will redo, just like Mike said, things will break. We'll have to redo our process to handle the scale. Once we redo the process, we scale delivery and then hire more salespeople, break it again, better process, better delivery, right? So it's an endless cycle of doing the same thing over and over. And Mike, it's probably the same thing in your business. What's happening, I think, for our customers in the call centers is interesting. They're scaling their technology adoption. customers are dying to get more out of what they've paid for from these CCaaS vendors. We pay all this money. We only use 30% of the system. How can we use more? So they're scaling their tech, and at the same time, they're reducing their headcount from a call center agent perspective with the ideology that we've gotten more from our technology. And we're also seeing that organizations are reducing their headcount in terms of like call center admins, like technology admins. They're lowering their IT headcount, which is great for us for two reasons. Reason number one is I now have a bigger talent pool of great people, and then number two is they need us as an augmented service.
So Adam, like why are some of these brands or these companies, why are they only using 30% of the software? They just don't know what's available, or the technology is just getting so bloated that it's hard to navigate? Like what's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those are actually true, and I think those are directly correlated, right? If you look at it, like go evaluate Salesforce or go evaluate an enterprise grade solution. Go to the sales team and observe how many sales engineers they bring to the call, or how many people. Oh, this is my WFM specialist. This is my AI specialist. This is my core specialist. This is my outbound specialist. And these people work at the vendors, and then they put this technology into a customer, and the customer's like, I don't have 4 or 5 specialists that I can employ. So what happens is these customers get these robust platforms, and they don't have the adoption resources internally. And then the CCaaS vendors do a poor job of success. And so you have this issue where customers are spending $100, $150 per user per month and really only adopting 30% because, again, it's so darn robust.
I just read a news, so you can find it while I explain what I heard. The Salesforce is going to lay off a whole bunch of solution engineers. Precisely, but I come from an enterprise world. I've been in Oracle for a long time. And yes, technology can get really sophisticated. Why? Because you have some customers that are using the basic Mickey Mouse version, the demo version, basically. And some customers, it's a bell curve, right? Milk everything they can possibly get out of the system here. But the system needs to be supporting the needs of those really advanced use cases there. And if you have a system like Salesforce that's been now 25 years in the making, you start adding more and more layers of complexity there. So, but I'm intrigued by that news. I would expect it only to get worse as a technology set becomes more advanced, more complicated, requiring more folks like you to actually implement it here. Selling that effectively requires people to really know each of those respective areas here. So I found a bit of a counterintuitive move from Salesforce that they're going to move more towards having the salespeople doing all the technical aspects of selling.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's a leverage equation again. It's like if we're hiring A player salespeople, then we should be able to train them at least to do a Mickey Mouse demo instead of having a whole sales engineering team that has to essentially accompany the salesperson to that demo, and then again give the impression, oh, this is so complex that I need an engineer to demo the thing. I think it is an interesting move, and I think it all comes down to dollars and cents and leverage.
Yeah, I mean, like even thinking from like the buyer perspective, right? So I kind of sit on the other side of a lot of this, right? Where I'm on the marketing side, we buy a lot of different marketing technology. If I know that if I'm only spending or using like 30% of a piece of technology, right? Like what stops me from saying like, hey, why don't I just go to a specialty service provider and use 100% of that? And I'm going to use it so much better. And I'm not having this other 70% laming out or, kind of hovering out there of like what I'm not using. And it's almost like there's a stronger play to have a specialty technology that fits the needs of a very specific solution that's in the market.
I think that's actually the future of software. And for me, enterprise software is in big trouble because that's that point exactly.
Yeah, until consolidation happens and VC money runs out or PE roll-ups happen, it's just like I think it's just a cyclical market. I think Daniel, you're right. Like we're going to see the emergence of apps, and we're going to see enterprise software in trouble, and then we're going to see it consolidate, and then enterprise software is going to be there again, and then the next revolution, whatever comes after AI, is going to produce more apps. But Paul, I want to challenge you to think about when you buy software and you sign the contract and then you have to start doing the implementation. Like, that sucks. Implementations suck. And like here at TechStack, we, like, one of our taglines and what I tell all my customers is implementations suck. We just make them suck less.
Okay.
Right? Like, there's no going around it. Right? So, like, okay, we've exhausted ourselves over the last 8 to 12 weeks to evaluate software and all the different vendors in the market. We finally chose the right one. I'm so exhausted. Now I got to implement the thing, which is way harder than shopping. And then the implementation, everyone's talking past each other. And then that's where we get a solution where we're only adopting 30%.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, you got to make compromises. Yeah.
Yeah, with deadlines. You have to be live by this day. Okay, so let's just roll out MVP, and then MVP is just what we have forever.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what we're trying to battle here at TechStack is, we like to be part of the evaluation process. We have all the business context. We do the implementation, and I yell at Paul, do we have to implement this feature? Because remember in the second demo when you were super pumped about this feature, and now you're saying you don't want it anymore? No, we have to get it because that's the whole reason you bought this thing. And so we have to push our customers to actually adopt the features that got them excited to buy the solution in the first place. As you can see,
it's great. I just don't know what to say next. Like, it's like, how do you follow up with that?
Well, the limited usage is that because you touched on exactly what we're seeing from a different perspective is we're seeing people kind of consolidate and build stronger cores and become more efficient, which is really what you're touching on too, is being less reliant on staffing and using proper automation tools. This sounds like this is the primary pain point that allows you to build a business, really, is implementation is awful and people need help with it. But the limited usage is has always been a problem, I would think. Not a new problem. It's just things are getting more expensive.
Yeah, getting more expensive and more complicated for sure. So,
I think what's interesting is we're seeing in some of our customers that the CIO is reporting into the CFO. And right, so like when we start to think about what the desired ROI or the fact that technology has become almost a cost center, right? Like I think there's organizations that probably have as many technology tools as they do employees. Actually, my organization has more technology applications than we have humans on staff, right? So when you start thinking about like the adoption of technology, it's, like the CFO is clearly being the police officer there to say, hey, wait, what is the actual ROI? And don't give me the ROI that the salesperson gave you because they're incentivized to give you a rockin' ROI. Give me the ROI that you've built internally based on your hypotheses of your worst case, your base case, and your best case. And then how do we get to at least the base case or best case?
So what is the average time to value from the moment they close the deal with your customers?
With our customers, I would say they're getting value on day one of implementation solely because we push the crap out of our customers. Like we are not nice, but we are kind, if that makes sense, right? We will push the boundaries of our customers to make sure that they're getting the value on day one, because if I'm going to put my name on recommending a software, I better deliver on it, right? I think there's a lot of consultants out there. This is not to talk smack on them, but all they do is pontificate and make recommendations on software, and they don't own the implementation.
That's TechStack, right? TechStack Advising, time to value. But you're helping your customers implement a large CCaaS platform. How long does that take before they can start running?
Oh, yeah. Typical implementation timeline is 90 to 120 days. The customer is always the bottleneck.
Right. That's a full quarter. That's a long time. I think it's a very reasonable question to ask. Like, does it really have to take a quarter? So I understand the perspective from CFO, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I sympathize because Adam, you said your average client size is in the thousands, and when you're that size, if there's a 0.5% of mistakes at that scale, it just accounts to very, very, very large numbers. So these projects I can imagine the complexity and scale and nightmare of stakeholders getting implementation done and things like that. Quite a feat.
Like I said, it sucks. We just make it suck less.
So I've been hearing this conflicting ideas. Best of breed versus best of suite. It used to be best of breed 20 years ago when I started. It went to best of suite. We saw large suites, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Microsoft Dynamics. I'm talking enterprise CX software, for example. But I've been hearing noise that best of breed is coming back, and it's all about now we don't want those large complex systems. We want to have really bespoke, very specific point solutions. They are so open nowadays that they're faster to hook together a bunch of best of breed solutions than trying to implement them on those larger suites. Where do you see that heading?
I mean, I see that. Like, I would agree that that is the massive change that we're seeing in the market, and I don't think. I think that's just the nature of the best of suite, or what I call the platform vendors, right? Like the emergence of AI has introduced a ton of new apps, right? AI apps or best of breed solutions. The legacy cloud providers like Salesforce and Oracle and Microsoft, and even the legacy CCaaS vendors, they haven't been able to move fast enough, right? So I think that the platform story, they wish they could still be that solution, but they haven't been able to move fast enough, and that's created the opportunity for these VC-funded best-of-breed apps.
Mike, what do you think?
I mean, I'm less on the. It's an interesting perspective.
Well, but you shop around for different software, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, these big, huge enterprise products, the complexity of them is a lot more too. So to properly use them, whereas if you have a very specific, singular purpose, I would think easier to implement.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you're only looking at one solution or one use case, right? Versus like a suite, it's you have everything. Like you could probably have an AMP solution in there, and it's like, why do I need that? It's like it just comes with it, right? It's like implementing
and then translating 6 departments together and getting everything.
But then you probably have a sales process that's like 4 years long versus 15 days.
Yeah, as someone who comes from Salesforce, I can validate that the sales process can be 4 years long.
Well, cool.
Yeah, for someone that usually compete with you at Oracle, I concur. Yeah.
Well, this has been a great discussion, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. I guess the one thing that I want to ask while kind of closing out is, we have a really long road of 2025, right? We have 10 more months left. What is one piece of advice you would give the audience to help, kind of scale their initiatives this year?
Yeah, I'll go first. Try a lot of things, but when you find what works, eliminate every other thing and quadruple down on what works until it stops working.
Common trend of what you've been saying the whole time, I think, huh? Focus on what you're good at. I think crucial, although when one-to-one came, we expected a lot of companies that were not going to comply or not make it, not adapt. And I think with the technology coming, it's the same thing. One-to-one might be gone, but I think in 10 years, the world could be very different with the AI and technology coming. So adapting now and not falling behind is crucial.
And I'm going to go with milk as much out of your platform as possible. There's probably that 70% we just talked about is probably out there for you. And there's a lot more you can get out of the platform if you invest in that a bit.
Very true. Very true. Well, thank you, gentlemen. This has been a great session, and looking forward to the next one.